on to myth number 3. So let's talk about lactose. So there seems to be a lot of confusion between lactose intolerance and lactose sensitivity in infants. So what's the real scoop? I think there's this huge myth that lactose in formula is the primary cause of feeding problems.
Yes, this is another huge myth. And like I was just talking about with the nutritional breakdown, lactose is actually the main carbohydrate, it's the main sugar found in breast milk. So when I'm saying that, that means babies are naturally born to digest lactose. So, in fact, we've found that lactose intolerance, true lactose intolerance, is actually pretty rare in infancy. A lot of times when we do see actual reactions to milk, it's more related to the proteins.
Right.
And that is definitely a huge misconception that I see so often with providers recommending these sensitive formulas. Well, a lot of the sensitive formulas have very similar, protein breakdown as a standard formula, just more like reduced lactose. Maybe the protein might be broken down a little bit more, but usually it's the lactose. But the lactose is probably not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge, huge misconception. And, when we're talking about lactose intolerance versus this, reaction to protein that I'm talking about, I'm specifically referring to cow's milk protein allergy. So, an intolerance is also very different than an allergy.
Right. Okay. Thanks for clearing that up. So how could a provider kind of navigate a parent's concern around lactose when they come in and say, "Oh, I think that my baby's lactose intolerant," or "I was lactose intolerant, so I think my baby is lactose intolerant." How can they navigate those kinds of concerns when it comes to formula and choosing a formula?
Yeah. So first off, I would encourage to calm mama down, calm parent down, and kind of refer to the fact that, a lot of times, again, lactose intolerance is more something that is onset later on. So oftentimes that is not the problem. Uh, when it comes to looking at, the next step for a baby, if they're not showing true cow's milk protein allergy, and by that I'm saying maybe they're a bit fussy after their feedings, maybe they're not quite tolerating it, if you will, they're, kind of, but they're not full blown, well, I think we'll talk about cow's milk protein allergy here in a minute. And I'll tell you a little more of those symptoms. There's a big difference. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, even just getting to a formula that does contain a protein that's more broken down, but not necessarily, these hydrolyzed formulas, these specialty formulas, because that's oftentimes not entirely needed. Kind of finding that middle ground, if you will. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the easier to digest proteins, I think, are going to be a really big factor in helping with that.
For sure. Well, thanks for clearing that one up.